Yeah, get it on. Got to get on. No choice. We got a mandate. Get it on. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for hitting that little share button on your phone. I can see it when the ratings go up, so thanks in advance to that. Good day, Gina Grad.
Good day to you.
Handball, Brian.
Hey, how's it going?
You're at your in-laws' house?
I'm at my in-laws' house, yeah, and our power went out right as we were going to bed last night. It was so it wasn't just the power going out. It was very windy in LA, right? And so as we're like getting ready for bed, there's a huge bang, like this big pop. And all of a sudden the lights go out and everything goes out. I was in the dining room walking to the bedroom. Christy was already in the bedroom and she could see outside the back window, which is where our bedroom is, the big explosion, like a transformer, like exploded, right? Like up on the pole. And then over the next 10, 15 minutes, it happened like 4 or 5 more times at other poles around our house. It was crazy. So I don't know electricity that well. I mean, electrical that well, but like several transformers either exploded or something, or showering sparks down on everyone, and the whole block, the whole neighborhood was out, and we're still without power.
Well, I blame either Black Lives Matters or Trump. That's my take. That's my
You covered everything.
There's enough blame to go around.
That's my new world order. All right, Willy T is going to, Willy T Ribs, in person we did the doc on, Uppity, is going to be joining us soon. Give me the names on the GoFundMes, would you please, Max Zapata? Thank you. I had a interesting thought. Willy T is mentoring the Kyle Larson, the guy who dropped the N-bomb on the E-race.
Wow.
Yeah. Funny in a sense that we talk about winners of the COVID-19. That guy's definitely a loser because he would have been in a car talking to his team, not on the internet doing a virtual version of a race where we could capture an N-bomb being dropped. But in these times, these troubling times, Willy T is going to help bring it all together. So I had a thought. I was thinking about our friend Billy Yang in the St. Regis Save the St. Regis GoFundMe liquor store. And I thought, last we spoke, he was at about 32,000. Now they're 36,500. And I thought, oh, that's promising. Yeah. And then I started thinking to myself, wait a minute. Speaking of GoFundMe, before all this shit went down, didn't Larry David start one for the Riviera Caddies Fund?
For the golf course, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Think about the optics of Riviera. We need... In this day and age of all the small Black-owned and minority-owned businesses being burnt to the ground and Black Lives Matter and everything else, this is a GoFundMe page for caddies at one of the most exclusive country clubs in the United States called the Riviera.
Mm-hmm. Well-intentioned, but doesn't look great.
They have raised, well, especially if some asshole of the podcast brings it up. Now, look, I'm making a joke, obviously, because you can't be blamed for shit when then shit happens after you did the shit. Right. You know what I mean? Like you write a book or you make a movie or you make a TV show and then shit happens 6 months later. That's not on you.
Right.
But I still made fun of it at the time because
Well, I remember your angle, which was, I think, spot on when, everyone's like, yay, Larry David making this GoFundMe and, donating $500 of his own money. And this guy did 500, this guy, and you're like, he couldn't just take care of it and move on.
Well, the average, I don't know what the over-under is on the average income of a person who belongs to the Riviera Country Club. But you don't have a lot of those guys making $450,000 a year. You have many more of them making, 28 point something or 50 point. I mean, those are some of the richest individuals on the planet. Those country clubs are hundreds of thousands of dollars to join. Anyway, just so you know, all's right in the universe. Poor Billy Yang and his family-owned liquor store after his dad was basically executed by robbers there in 04. It's up to $36,000. Riviera Caddy Fund is $158,000.
Oh, nice.
Well, you know what? Pound for pound by donators, that's probably about equal.
Yeah. So there you go. The goal was 150.
They exceeded their goal.
Oh, how nice. Good for them.
So all is right in the universe. All right.
Oh,
so
boy.
That's just something that had been roiling around in my head for like 2 weeks. I've just been thinking, how's that work with the fun? Also, then, let's see, Willy's calling up in a few minutes.
What's the latest with the Willy story? He was in various stages of development over the last couple of years.
The story with Willy is as best I know at the time you're hearing this is they had so in the series department it was going to Showtime because Brian Koppelman and his partner wanted to develop it for their next piece after Billions. Billions is going to run its course at some point sooner than later, and they're going to move on to their next project. And they wanted to do Willy's story as a episodic, weekly,
right.
like
Limited
Billions
series or something. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I don't know if it's limited. I think they just want to do it as a series, which would be super cool. Oh, Willy's on hold. All right, we'll bring Willy in. Willy's in outside Austin, I think, but not far out of Austin. Is he on, Max Zapata?
Yeah, he's just activating all the cameras and
okay.
stuff.
So we're trying to get the deal done with Showtime, and then there's Mahershala Ali's company, and then there's
Wow.
the other Titan or whatever that one is. I can't think of the name of it that does Wonder Woman and all those big movies, and they won some too.
Yeah.
Hey, Willy. Can you hear me?
He's muted.
Oh, yeah, just take your mute off.
Yeah.
How you got me?
You got curly hair.
And how?
So, Willy, how are you faring with all this stuff that's going on in the last 20 minutes in this country?
Well, it was a matter of time, Adam. It was just a matter of time. It was at its tipping point, and it was with everything that's been going on over years, decades, years, and now I just think that it's time for a readjustment.
Where are you on police, abolishing police, educating police, retraining police? Where are you at on that subject?
Well, I think you've got to, as I said, you got to readjust the funding, especially for training, and there's got to be a relationship with the police and law enforcement that is. I wouldn't say warm and fuzzy, but respectful. You got to respect, and you can't have rogue racists in there or some trigger happy dumbass coming through the academy, and it eventually ends up the way it is now.
Well, it was kind of funny. I was thinking about it. I had this joke I've said a lot, which is like, you think about pedophiles, and then my joke would be, all right, which dad wants to take all the kids camping this weekend? And the first guy who raises his hand, you go, you're out. Right? I don't trust you because there's a good game. There's the Steelers are playing the Colts this weekend. You should want to watch that. I was kind of thinking that wanting to be a policeman almost means I don't want you to be a policeman. Just literally going, this is what I want to do. Like I always thought about. I never had a job out of high school. I was rudderless, but I went to go try to be a fireman. I didn't want to be a policeman because I didn't want to have that dominion over people. You know what I'm saying?
Well, one thing about it, the film Uppity, which you produced, which is a film for the for the ages, explains why I wanted to be a race driver, and I knew at 9 years old. And a lot of people, I don't know if I would want to be in in the career of authority.
No, not in this day and age. Not.
I don't.
But first off, everyone has a phone in their camera, and they're just filming you and every interaction you ever have with another human being. And
it used to be a home sex films.
Oh God.
Now it's not that
salad
anymore.
days.
I know.
No more home sex films. It's filming police.
I had to explain to my kids about the salad days back when we were a pure nation, when we were more naive, and I could just sit around and watch Tommy Lee steer a houseboat with his cock. Now you turn on the news and there's fire everywhere.
We were so young and innocent then.
I know. Hey, Willie, I want to talk about you and your career and your past. And, making the doc with you was really one of the most rewarding things I've done in my career. But your stories of, Muhammad Ali and then Bruce Jenner and all that, tell us a couple Muhammad Ali stories that we might not know or that didn't make the cut.
One of them was I was in Vegas, and he was there. It was for a fight, and it was at the London Hilton. And I came up to his room. He was he was up in the suite, and his valet says, "Mr. The champ is in the bedroom. Go on in." And by then we had already had a great relationship, trusting, right? And so I walked in his room, and he was in the bed with two women, one on each side. And I said, "Well, sorry, champ, I didn't mean this is what a champ's supposed to do. And when you become a champ, you're gonna do this." I thought that was just classic. That was classic Ali. And then another time was in London when we were going through a crowd, and there was a theater in London that he visited in a borough called Brixton, which is predominantly Jamaican and Trinidadian. And we got out, and we nearly got stampeded, right? And he looked at me and he says, "Man, they're more crazy than in the United States." And we literally got trampled, and everybody just wanted to touch Ali. It was incredible to be around him, and the energy that he gave people, and energy that he just gave you being in his presence. And he made you feel like you were right on the same level with him. It was just fabulous.
You hanging around with Ali at the height of Ali's powers, and Cosby as well at the height of their powers. I don't know. We're looking at a picture of you and Ali from back in the day. Who was more popular than those two guys nationally or internationally back in those days? And one thing I did want to talk to you about is fighting. Back when you would fight, speaking of Ali, when you would fight in the pubs of London to make money, when you were there doing Formula Ford, I think at the beginning, instead of going to college. Can you tell one of those stories or how that began?
Well, my parents gave me enough money to race. They sent me over there
to England.
And
send you to England.
To England, yeah, sent me to England, and I was, I had just enough money to race, and I kept thinking, well, what do I do to make extra money so I can eat? And a buddy of mine, we just happened to go to this pub, and in the center of the pub was roped off. And it wasn't a mat. It was a hard wooden floor. So if you got dropped, you were going to either get knocked out from the punch or you're going to get knocked out from hitting the floor. And we were watching these guys, these these middle-aged guys get up and start drinking, and then they bet who's going to win, and there's a big betting pool going on. And so my buddy says to me, he says, "Why don't you get in there and did you ever put the gloves on?" I said, "Oh yeah, back in the United States." He said, "Well, why don't you get in there and mix it up with those guys and maybe see if we can win something." Well, I won I made about 100 pounds, right? And back then that 100 pounds would take me through a full week.
Were they just sliding gloves? They're just taking old boxing gloves and swapping them out from one guy and putting them on the other guy?
Oh, they had holes in it, and the padding was falling out. They were old. Yeah, it was almost bare knuckles.
Right.
And so it was. I had a lot of fun with that because the guys were drunk.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't drunk. I only drank milk in those days. I didn't drink at all. Tea.
And were you able to come back on subsequent weekends and make more money, or did they catch on to you?
After about the fourth, I was going every other weekend, right? And about the fourth time I was there, they were like, "This Yank here is knocking us out and taking our money," So they slowed that down.
How long? I know I did the doc on you, but I don't know, what was your total period of time in London when you went there as a 18, 19-year-old to race in Formula 4?
2 years.
Were you there for a full 2 years?
2 years. I went in 77 the whole year. I came back to the United States in 78 and then went back again in 79.
And I just heard that Bubba Wallace, who African-American NASCAR, fainted after he was supposed to be on the show today. I think he fainted after a race yesterday in Atlanta. Do you know Bubba? Or do you know anything about that story?
I heard about the story. I don't know him personally like I do Lewis Hamilton, but I guess the fluids ran out, and the car had more fluid in it than he did. But yeah, he apparently he got dehydrated to the point where he was having a hard time standing.
How's your son Theo doing, who's a world-class trap shooter?
Well, I mean, he shoots actually sporting clay, but
sporting clay, sorry.
He's doing real well. And, funny, he opened up the season with 2 victories in February, one in Florida and one in Georgia. He never opens up the season winning. He usually halfway through the season down the end is when he starts coming on. And soon as he opens up with 2 wins, we get shut down. But, he's out practicing, and, we have a ranch, a facility that's 217 acres that he trains on. So I'll go out there and train with him and keep him sharp. So, everything's starting to happen again because they shut, auto racing down. They shut all sports down, including him. So he wants to take you out and put a shotgun in your shoulder, Carolla.
All right. Well, as long as it's not my mouth. I'd love to go shooting. I mean, I can shoot on your property, right?
Oh yeah. You can shoot. This is Texas, okay? Texas. Right. We use our guns to eat our cornflakes with. You scoop it out.
Do you? You're a little outside of a little outside of Austin, right? But you're sort of in between Circuit of the Americas, Coda, and Austin.
Actually, I'm actually a little north of Coda. Coda is a little bit southwest of me, and when I say a little bit, 35-minute drive. And in Texas, 35-minute drive is like a walk across the street.
Did you? How did you end up in Texas? Because you're California. You started out in California.
Well, I wanted to, as you know, I grew up on a ranch, and when my career was over, I wanted to get back on a ranch again, but I wanted to. California was changing, and it was not changing the way it used to be fun. California in the 60s, 70s, 80s was just a fun place, and it was free. Well, everything, there's nothing free there anymore. I mean, when I say free, you can't, just law after law after law after tax after tax after tax. And the taxes didn't bother me. It was the laws that did. And especially with Theo starting his shooting career, I knew for him to be a world-class shooter, he had to be in Texas. And so we moved. I bought a ranch in Dripping Springs, Texas, and set up a practice grid for him. And I just like it out here. I mean, the majority of the people are just fun people, and I'm in the country, and that's where I like to be.
Did Theo ever think about driving? Did he ever do any driving? It seems like it seems weird to go from driving to shooting.
Well, funny, that was my hobby. I mean, Al Unser Jr. and Uncle Bob, they all like golf. Andretti, they all golfed. I didn't like golf. I mean, I grew up on a ranch and I started shooting as a kid, but golf was just too quiet. I got asked that same question by the BBC back in the day. He said, well, how come you don't get groom your son to be a race driver? I said, it's changed now. It's a lot harder you don't see any Unsers in the sport anymore like the old days. You got one Andretti. The hand-me-down is no longer in the sport because it's become so expensive. So, we used to go out shooting, and Theo was little, and he pushed the buttons for me and for the targets to fly. And he wanted to start doing it. And right away, it's like golfing. It's like Tiger Woods picking up a golf club. Shooting is the same way. It's very technical, and he got it straight away. And I put him in some competitions. He started winning, and now he's one of the top shooters in the world.
I have a semi-difficult question to ask. I was interviewing Dan Gurney shortly before he passed, and I said, you want to talk about Willy T. Ribs? And he said, no. And I thought, why didn't you want to talk about Willy T. Ribs? And I know you raced for him. I know you had a lot of respect for him. I know you won for him. Did you guys have a dust-up at the end with him?
Never.
Did you leave on bad terms?
He was the best team owner I'd ever raced for. I love him to death. And Dan really stays away from what he might think might be controversial, right? And because how was Willie? How was he to work with? Did you deem him controversial? Was he outspoken? Dan really, Dan doesn't like to get into that. A lot of people, Uncle Bobby will.
Bobby Unser. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, in a heartbeat. And I talk to Uncle Bobby at least twice a week, at least 2 times a week. And he's getting on, he's 86 years old now. And I don't ever want, I want to stay fresh with him right to the end.
So Dan, it was more about, I don't know, avoiding some controversy or being misconstrued in some way, shape, or form, rather than any kind of incident you had with him.
Oh, no, we had no, in fact, it was the best relationship I had with any owner. And probably, I had good relationship with some owners, but we had, it was an awesome experience, and it showed in the film.
John Singleton, sadly, I know you guys got together and were able to spend some time down at the marina maybe on his boat. I can't recall, but you were telling him stories and starting to get the late great John Singleton sort of downloaded on your life story in sort of phase one of this, and then he died some weeks later. Did you have any recollections of that?
Yeah, we met 3 times. Once on his boat, and 2 other times for dinner in Marina Del Rey, and he just wanted to brief me as to how we saw the series going, right? And this was a series that was to be produced by Brian Koppelman.
Right. Showtime. Right.
And Showtime. And so he was giving me his ideas that he had with Koppelman. And, with Koppelman doing Billions, Koppelman's a Clydesdale.
Oh, yeah.
And so, So those 2 together, they'd be a formidable combo. But I hear there's another guy in the works to team up with Koppelman that's a bad cat too.
Yeah, we were able to convince Ted Nugent to come aboard.
Yeah.
So he's going to put his name on this baby, and we're going to sail right through all the executives at Showtime with Nugent's
Several
name on.
trips out to the ranch in Michigan.
Not to mention clearable music, people, which is a big issue. He owns his entire catalog. Maybe Stranglehold we'll stay away from for now, but when we get to season 3. Yeah, I don't know who are we allowed to say who the other person is? Because I don't know who that person is.
I heard it was Don Cheadle.
Oh yeah, Don Cheadle. That's right.
I heard it was Don Cheadle.
That's a name.
Yeah. And Cheadle is a brilliant actor, and he's directed before. I think to piggyback off your film, Adam, and for you to do what you did, Spike Lee, it was in front of Spike and some of the other big Negro producers. And yeah, I said that, big Negro. And, you're just going to have to like it. So, for you to do that and no one else stepped up, because I was available and you ran with the ball, and not just run. If that's an Emmy, we have an Emmy. You have an Emmy on your hands.
I do.
And with a message. I mean, it's not The Last Kiss or The Last Dance or whatever. No one cries after The Last Dance, but they cry after they watch Uppity.
Well, thanks. And
ESPN cried after The Last Dance.
Yeah.
Episode.
I got to tell you guys, I loved The Last Dance. I look forward to it every weekend. And then they went right to Lance Armstrong, and I watched the shit out of Lance Armstrong. And then the other night they went to Bruce Lee, and I kind of found myself looking at my phone a little bit. Like,
really?
I love Bruce Lee, and I'm all in on any of these kind of docs, but they slowed it down a bit, or whatever it was. It didn't pull me in like Jordan did and Lance Armstrong did.
The Bruce Lee doc was a Sundance doc that they bought, so I don't know if it was made with the ESPN.
Oh,
It wasn't made with the ESPN.
That's been around a while.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's an interesting.
I remember seeing it but seeing that it was at Sundance, and then seeing, ESPN acquired it. So they got a sort of third party.
Oh, that's a very good point, because I found myself, look, in terms of subject matter, I'm not into bike racing per se. Martial arts is cool. I grew up with Bruce Lee posters, all cool. So it wasn't the subject matter. It sort of, what you're saying? It's like Crave Jerky used to be a little boutique jerky, and I loved Crave Jerky. And then I had some a year ago, and it's like, it's a little drier. Maybe I got a bad batch. And then someone goes, Nestle bought Crave Jerky. And you're like, oh, okay.
That checks out.
So I was all in on the doc, Last Dance. I was all in on Lance Armstrong, and I was watching this one like it was 30 for 30, produced from the same crew. And I found myself like 20 minutes in kind of going, I'm not as in on this one as I was on the other ones. Maybe you just explained it, Bald Bryan.
Could be a reason.
Willy T, when you coming out to LA next?
When you call me.
All right. Well, when are you
That's the only time I come out to LA is when you say
are
ribs.
you going to be at Indy? Are you going to be at Indy this year?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, can we go?
If they let us in, if they let me in, or let the general public and don't limit the amount of crew members and guests, then I'll be there.
Oh, good. Can we go from the hotel to the track together?
Like we did last time?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We did that. Didn't we do that a year or two ago?
Yeah. And
we went in the same car.
Yeah. Willie's a goddamn legend at Indy. So when you're trying to get in and there's traffic and cops and cones and barriers everywhere.
That's your all access pass.
It's like Beyonce's playing the Super Bowl halftime show and she's in the back seat of the rental and you're trying to get into the stadium. That's what it was like. Not that Beyonce's as hot as you, Willie, but that's what I was talking about. They say, Penske says it will only run Indy 500 with fans. So they'll push it. If August doesn't work, they'll push it to October. Last question, Willie. What is the heat going to do to those cars and the tires and the compounds?
Remember the cartoon Gumby?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Gumby. Yeah, that's what it's all. Cooling shouldn't be too much of an issue. The drivers now are sort of in a closed cockpit.
I know. I just saw that.
Yeah, that new configuration. And I'm going to tell you what, as my dad used to say, it's going to be hotter than Little Sister in there.
I don't even want to go there. All right. Willy T, the documentary's uppity, and you can find that over at Chassis, CHASSY. And get a DVD. It's got a bunch of bonus content on there. Get a signed poster or whatever you like, and it just helps. Hey, Willie, always good to talk to you, and I'm really hoping we're going to see you at the 500 this year, and we'll hang out.
We're going to do it. We'll party, too. St. Elmo's.
Yeah.
We'll go to St. Elmo's.
Well, I love it. Thanks, Willie. Appreciate it,
All right,
man.
babe.
Take
Cheers.
care.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye.
Good to see you.
All right. Let me hit cross rope. Oh, I was just hopping up and down with my cross rope a few minutes ago. Looking for ways to stay fit while spending time at home these days? Well, nobody can tell you about skipping rope like me. I've been doing this for years, and it's good. I'll tell you what's good about skipping the rope. As I always talk about, it teaches you rhythm and balance as well. You get a full body workout, just 30 minutes, combines high intensity cardio and full body strength training because the cross rope is weighted. So, and I don't know if you guys have ever used a weighted jump rope, but you get 2 minutes into using a weighted one. All of a sudden you feel it in your arms and your back and your shoulders. It is not like the ones I formerly would use. They got a 60-day no-risk guarantee. They got an app that is free and anytime access for quick workouts, and you can travel with it. Throw it right in your bag. Crossrope, right, Dawson?
If you're ready for a new cardio and full-body home workout, visit crossrope.com/Adam. Get up to $40 off Crossrope sets, plus free shipping when you check out today. When you check out today at crossrope.com/Adam. That's ADAM. That's crossrope.com/Adam.
Love me some Willy T. All
God,
right.
He's so interesting to listen to. I mean, what a great perspective. What a great sense of humor. What great stories.
Yeah. Very interesting guy. And you, I remember when we were making the documentary, it's like Caitlyn Jenner's in this. And what about Cosby and Don King and Muhammad Ali? And it's like, yeah, man, put them all in. I mean, I would love to make this thing a series and have the actor who was playing the 29-year-old Bruce Jenner in this film. All right, we got some calls coming up. Brad Williams going to join us for second half show. Take a quick break. Be right back after this.
And now, Alcoa presents Definitely Not a Jew on the Adam Carolla Show. Dateline, Palm Harbor, Florida. After an 8-hour standoff with police, a 51-year-old man was charged with shooting into an occupied dwelling. The man told officers he was in his yard shooting his rifle at rats. Definitely not a Jew.
All right, nice job. Do you record that here or at home?
No, I do that at home.
Your neighbors must be able to hear you.
That's why I built the studio. They can't hear me.
Okay.
Screaming, definitely not a Jew, right into the neighborhood.
You got dual glazed windows in that studio, right? Sound deadening. All right, let's see. Pete, 37 from Sacramento, has got a question. Pete, or a thought? Pete, go ahead.
I do have a thought. Thanks for taking my call, guys. Love you all.
Thank you.
So here's my idea. I think that there should be a Black Summit of prominent Black leaders to discuss this race issue and sort of in this, I don't know, talk of systemic oppression or figure it all out, you know? I'm a white guy. I can't really tell people that, you know, the statistics don't bear out evidence of, cops killing Black people more than white people. We need some prominent Black people. Maybe get Barack Obama and Larry Elder and David Allen Greer in a room together and talk this out and put it on TV.
O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, the greats.
O.J. Simpson, that's a good one, yeah.
Well, I think there's a
Super famous.
problem. Anyone who's ever had an argument with their wife or even daughter or possible son, as long as they're wired like their wife or their daughter, is if one side is arguing feelings and the other side is arguing numbers, it doesn't really work. And I think that's where the disconnect is. You're hard pressed to get your statistics and numbers absorbed by the people that feel a certain way. And good luck getting the people who have the data statistically to feel like you feel when they're looking at numbers that don't reflect the way you feel. So that's the cutoff, or that's the disconnect. So the question is who might fill the void in the middle between the feelings and the statistics and or the numbers? And I think there's some room there. I think that is the crowd that is going to have to come together. If you're on one side of the aisle, if you're Larry Elder, Black conservative talk show host who's been on this show once or twice, you're going to throw a whole bunch of numbers out, and those numbers are going to defeat the feelings person, except for it's not going to work. And then if you're Al Sharpton, you're going to talk about the boot being on the throat of the black man since 1619, and his message is not going to work on Larry Elder. So maybe, just like in government, maybe the time is right for a third independent party, maybe an independent, maybe a racially independent group that kind of can get somewhere in between. Yes, Gina.
Yeah, I was thinking along the same lines when Pete had this thought of, you get somebody in, I would say in the middle. I hope I'm not, misquoting what I think he's about, but somebody like a Van Jones or somebody who, was in like Safe Spaces documentary, but also I'm sure has feelings about African-American oppression through the United States, a referee of sorts to sort of disarm both sides and go, granted, yes, we hear you. Now that you've been acknowledged and validated, now hear this person. And someone literally has to be the conductor of the middle of this orchestra.
What do the referees wear?
Exactly what I was thinking.
And
black and
there
white.
You go.
And that man is Quincy Jones. Check your ego at the door. Because if you can get people to enjoy Michael Jackson and Huey Lewis on the same song, then you are a uniter, my
And
friend.
Dan Aykroyd.
And Dan Aykroyd, then you, my friend, are a uniter. Yeah, it's going to be. I think that middle. I think that would be nice if there was a burgeoning middle who came about. I don't know. We're not gonna get anywhere with all cops are killers, and we're not gonna get anywhere shouting statistics and numbers. Also, somebody tweeted me the other day, and it's something we need. There's two things I think we need to stop doing. One, as I said, when people go, I disagree with everything so-and-so says. One of the Duplass brothers has to say something nice about Ben Shapiro, but he has to preface it with, I disagree with everything he says. No, you don't. You agree with 93% of what he says, and then there's 7% that you disagree with. So stop saying I disagree with everything the person says. None of us feel that way. Everyone loves pizza. People love this country. We love sports. We love our family. We're all about 80% the same. It's the 20% we're arguing about, not the 80. So starting off with, I disagree with everything that comes out of fill in the blank's mouth, you're doomed for failure. How is it that you could start a dialogue with someone where you proactively announce you disagree with everything that comes out of their mouth? All right, number one. Number two, this notion, and somebody tweeted me, they were like, oh, okay, white male, with your opinions, convenient you have an opinion about the black community or whatever. And I'm first off, fuck stick. I have an opinion about everything all the time. That's how I work. I have opinions about chihuahuas. I'm not a chihuahua owner.
Right.
I don't happen to like them. I've formed an opinion on chihuahuas. I've formed an opinion on food I've never tasted. I form an opinion on everything. That's what I do. It would be racist if I withheld opinions about the black community or Al Sharpton. That would be something that I've never done about anyone. I have opinions about men and women and gay and straight and black and white, this country, other countries, some good, some bad. I have a different opinion about every automotive manufacturer. I think of all of them differently. I cannot weigh in. You drive an Infiniti. How can you talk about Lexus? Well, easily.
Right.
I have opinions. Go ahead.
It's a pretty shallow argument we see a lot on Twitter, which is you've never blank. So how on earth can you have an opinion on blank? I've never been to space. Can I still share my thoughts on Apollo 13? I think it's a great movie.
Yes.
Sit down, Earthling.
Yes. I'm sorry. Pete, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So what do you do in Sacramento?
I own a small machine shop.
Ooh, machine shop.
I work in my garage. I make all kinds of stuff out of metal. Sorry, I'm not an abuser.
Oh, yeah. No, I
know your opinion of metal workers.
I was having a thought about metal workers. I've always thought of them as some of the worst people on the planet, the people who work at machine shops.
Some of the worst.
I did have this thought. I thought almost every guy who I've come across who does real welding, who welds for a living, has a huge mountain man beard. Most welder fabricator guys have beards and big beards. And
wouldn't that be the last profession you want the beard for, right?
Very flammable, and it's attached to your face, and sparks are always flying. And I started thinking about it, and I thought the only higher percentage beard group were the Hasidic Jews who are constantly kindling the Sabbath candles. You got fucking candles everywhere and a huge beard. You got sparks flying everywhere and a huge beard. These are the two gigs you shouldn't have a beard for, but yet across the board, big beards. But Pete, you don't sound like the bearded variety of metal workers, are you?
Closely trimmed beard.
But still a beard.
Still a beard.
Yeah, beard, but very neatly trimmed.
Yeah, there's one guy at the other shop who has a beard out of all the guys that make films and do the editings and stuff like that, and it's Sean, the guy who does the welding, and it's well kept, but it's still there. But a lot of the big biker beard dudes you see on TV and stuff from all those car shows, I don't know, it just seems like a bad combo. Hey, Mike,
you know who else you could throw in there?
Sorry, who?
The Amish. A lot of stuff done by candlelight.
Oh yeah, yeah. the Mennonites are like, we have a good relationship with candles, so we're just going to lose the mustache. Let's compromise.
That's right.
We're sort of into fire safety. We're into upper lip fire safety. All right. Hey, people laugh, but Dan Haggerty, famously, Grizzly Adams, man, was at a birthday party for himself and went full Michael Jackson in a Pepsi commercial. He had that big mountain man beard, and he was blowing out his candles. Speaking of, hey, thanks, Pete. I appreciate it. Speaking of blowing the candles, as you know, I'm not a germaphobe, but the kid's birthday party was last night, and Mama was rolling out the big apple tart and the brownie. I mean, at what point could you guys imagine a birthday party where you had two different desserts because the one kid liked this and then one like that? But anyway.
Only if it was cake and ice cream. That's as far as it goes.
Cake with frosting.
She was putting the candles in the thing, and I was like, are we really going to do this ritual where the kids spit all over the cake, like in the middle of this pandemic? Like they carried it out. They're blowing it out. They came over and tag teamed, like one of them. They both hit one side of it, and I thought, all right. Again, I'm not uptight, but Natalia is. Her mom is.
Broken.
I've been getting lectured to by the two spittle queens over here for the last 3 months about how it's weaponized and aerosolized and all, and everyone needs to put a mask. Now we're just all blowing on everyone's cake and whacking it up. Okay.
Old habits die hard.
It feels inconsistent to me. All right. Ooh, Frank from Houston wants to thank me for coming out there. By the way, I'm coming out to Zany's in Nashville this weekend. 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday. We'll do a couple of live pods and a couple of stand-up shows. Frank from Houston.
Ace man.
What's going on, man?
Ace, thank you so much for the shows in Houston. And Gina, I missed you.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. I'm sure they were excellent, though.
They're great. It's great to see Teresa again. And Crenshaw was great. God, he's got good timing.
Yeah, that guy was funny. He was funny on stage. I agree.
Yes, he sure was.
Yeah, we went out afterward and had a beer, and he took his eye patch off, and he had this crazy glass eye with like 14 karat leaf gold of like the Marine insignia, and it was right across this thin table from me, and I kept looking at this thing capturing the light.
He does the glass eye and the eye patch?
Yeah, I asked him, and I felt because I had a dream about it. And the dream was, wait a minute, is he wearing an eye patch over what is simply, look, one of those plastic change purses from the 70s? Like, is there just a hole there? Like, is there a thing? And he said, so I asked him about it up on stage, and he said, no, he puts the glass eye in and then puts the patch on, which I get. It's a signature. It's a look. Also, the glass eye is a little... You end up, it steals focus a little bit.
Not to disrespect the great Dan Crenshaw. I like the guy, but is that a little bit the right version of the rock and roll, guy with the, not literally rock and roll, like, Danny Bonaducci with the wristbands and everything. And it's like, it's a look, right? This is theater. I don't know. That feels weird to me. The eye and the patch.
Well,
he could go Roy Orbison, but he has no effect.
Well, if you go out without the eye, then if the patch comes off, it's going to look pretty weird. Like if you, I don't know, washing your face in the bathroom or something. If the patch ever, but
itch your
or whatever it is, it'll be a little off-putting. But if you go out with just the eye and out without the patch, that's a little bit off-putting too, but I think the patch is like a signature. I think that's his thing. I think that's how he got onto SNL.
True.
That's right.
Sorry, Frank.
So wanted to say thanks, and also came and saw you guys in October out in Santa Monica when Bald was doing his warm-up tour.
Oh, sweet. Thanks for coming, Frank.
Yeah. My daughter's the USC law student. She met you and Christy afterwards.
Yeah, we were both there. She was there with you.
Yeah. Absolutely. She's out there going to school. She's in an apartment all alone. Her roommate's from like Fresno, so she went home. So during this lockdown, she's there all alone. Going nuts.
Are we still doing the lockdown? Hey,
but
awesome.
thanks for bringing normalcy. You don't come to Houston much, so I had to come out and see you all 4 shows.
well, you saw all 4
Awesome.
goddamn shows. I'm trying to think.
Yep.
Well, they're all
I'm the
different.
bald guy with the goatee. I
Yeah.
took a picture with you and Crenshaw right at the end. Ask me about Larry Miller. I haven't seen him and heard from him in a while.
I believe Larry's doing well, and thanks. And I'm glad all 4 shows must have been very different, so you're probably fine with that, I'm guessing.
Oh, no, absolutely we were different. Sure were.
Thanks, Frank, and we'll hope to see you at the next show.
Yeah, next time you come out. I actually went out to Austin when you were supposed to race a couple of years ago. Brought my chamois, but you never brought the car, so anyway.
Well, hopefully I'll get out to Circuit of the Americas soon enough. They were having a vintage race there. At some point, I was going to get out there, and then I couldn't. They're rescheduling the Trans Am race. I think I was telling you guys, I can't remember, that they canceled at the beginning of May. They're putting it on the beginning of December at Laguna Seca. That's the professional race, so we have to see if we can re-sponsor me in the car and do all that. And the vintage, they're going to decide as we speak whether it's going on or not. So we'll hopefully get that going as well. Let me do one more call up here with Mike on line 3. Mike, Omaha.
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on?
Not too much. It's kind of hard to follow up that guy's call, seeing 4 shows of yours in one weekend.
I know.
What a fan.
Yeah.
You have to forgive me. My voice is a little hoarse. I lost it recently, just from sinuses and stuff. Anyway, I
should
think I
have
may have
protesting,
coined.
Mike.
Yeah. Screaming at the man.
What's that?
You should have said you lost it protesting.
That's what it is. Yep. I got to get my
There you
cred. That's let's start over. I got it protesting.
There you go.
No. So recently, I think I may have coined a phrase, but who knows? It may exist. And the phrase is action boner. And I'm not sure if anybody's experienced this. All of you probably have. Basically, it's a scene in a movie that's so awesome and action-packed that it almost makes you tumescent. And I'll give you an example.
Does that happen?
Of course.
Yeah. Paul, Bryan, you can get your nerd drop ready. For me, it was in the last Avengers movie when Captain America got Thor's hammer and, beat up on Thanos for a little bit. That is an action boner-inducing scene.
That could have just been a straight away gay boner. Thor with his shirt off and everything.
Kind of sounds like it, right?
Well, it's kind of interesting. Now, this is...
Well, Adam, wait, time out. What's funny about that is in that movie he's talking about, the last one, Thor.
He's fat.
He's fat.
Right.
Thor put on 100 pounds.
So he likes a bear. That's okay.
Yeah. Everyone's a bottom to Thor. I know it's been said many times, but there are no tops with Thor. So here's how I'm wired, and you guys tell me how you're wired. I love an action sequence, but if it's so incredibly fantastical and sort of takes place in another universe, I'm less bonerized by it because I look at it as a lot of sort of done on the computer versus kind of executed, So if you take a look at the beginning, hey, if you take a look at the beginning of Saving Private Ryan, for me, it's actually happened. So I have half a boner because it's historically it's happened, and then also there's some CGI in there, but there's a lot of just straight away Higgins landing craft, water, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And Fast and Furious, as insane as that shit is, it's a ton of stunt drivers doing a bunch of crazy shit. When it gets into total CGI Spider-Man land, I have less of a boner, but I'll.
You like the gonzo amateur action.
Yes, that thing.
Or like Mad Max Fury Road is a great example of just practical effects, and you're like, holy shit, someone did that. Someone hauled off the side of that car, and there's flames all around, and that's crazy.
The beginning, if you Max Zapata, Hooper, there's a car chase scene in Hooper. There was a scene in Hooper. Hooper's a Hal Needham stuntman film, 70s. Burt Reynolds is the old stuntman, and what's his name is the young stuntman. Jan Michael Vincent is the young stud, and everything is just done analog. And there's this thing at that movie where they have to like drive through a town, and they like blow up a smokestack, like an old brick, 20-story high smokestack, and they have to make it under the smokestack before the thing falls. And it's all just done with drivers and a guy blowing the smokestack. And at some point, they come to a bridge that's broken, and they just fire themselves a rocket car off this bridge. I'll show it to you. Sorry. Oh, Mac.
That just ain't enough. It better be.
Jan Michael Vincent and Burt, the height of their powers.
Wow.
We'll show you the smokestack. Just blowing guys off motorcycles, and where's that smokestack?
Right to a hospital.
I don't think the unions were real strong back then either. There's the smokestack. I think he just went past the smokestack, Max Betta. Trucks catching on fire and tankers blowing up, and
That's great.
the tanker
my
blows
God.
through the thing. And they would just blow up everything, but here comes the smokestack, I think.
Holy shit, your speed is right on.
All right. Well, you find the smokestack, Max Pat. I think it's coming up. It happens pretty fast, obviously, but there's a smokestack. All right, there it is. They blew up a smokestack.
And timber.
They drove under a real motherfucking brick smokestack. They didn't build that. That's just some place out of Pennsylvania where they went, yeah, go ahead and destroy it.
And they didn't ghost ride the whip there? There was somebody in that car?
I don't know
They
if
missed that smokestack by about half a second.
I don't know if folks ghost rid the whip back then, but that's a good question. But show us that smokestack one more time. It's a fun movie. It's it's a Burt Reynolds fun movie. It's got a lot of humor and some titties in it and stuff like that. But that is fun analog 70s action back there. There it is. Smokestack's falling.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Hal Needham, man, the late great Hal Needham. Hey, Mike. Oh, did I put him on hold?
He got an action boner. Had to go.
Mike.
Relieve himself.
I did get an action boner. Yep.
Yeah, you ever seen Hooper?
No, that was before my time. But I'll give you another example from a movie you do like, The Rock. When that trolley, when they're doing the car chase down, what is it, Castro Street or whatever.
Yeah.
That scene's amazing.
Yeah, that's a fun scene as well. The only thing that bumps me on those kinds of scenes is at a certain point when they're going to destroy the Ferrari 355, when they're going to destroy it and the trolley like mashes into it. When they do, you see like the fiberglass body kind of pop off of what is a replica of a Ferrari because they're not really going to bust up a real Ferrari 355. So they do like a replica with wheels and it kind of rolls it. But when they get crunched, it's like catching a fish with no guts in it. You know what I mean? Like it looks like it on the outside, but the inside doesn't. And, it doesn't bump most, but it rubbed this podcaster the wrong way. Hey, thanks, Mike.
I noticed that too.
You did notice that?
Yeah, I did.
What's going on in Omaha these days?
In Omaha, hang on just a second.
He's going to go check.
Excuse me, I'm really sorry about my voice. Omaha is great. We actually didn't really get locked down. The big thing is you can't go to like Starbucks, which I like to do sometimes to work. And you can't really until recently, you couldn't really hang out in restaurants. They just recently opened it back up, and it's kind of the same, but it's also different. So, at least things are moving in the right direction.
Thanks, Mike. I had the ultimate. You know how we always sort of laugh about that thing that people do, which is they say, you're meeting somebody at the airport, and you call them and you go, "Hey, man, where are you? You're late." And they go, "Oh, I'm just getting off the freeway. It's Sepulveda. I'm just getting off the freeway." And then you go, "Okay," but then you don't see him for half an hour, and it's like, wait a minute. You're just getting into your car in Van Nuys. Right. You're not just getting, and it's a math that you can't really lie about, because if you're just getting off the freeway, then I will see you in a second.
Turns out you can lie about it quite often.
Ron White, the comedian, has a great joke about that, about how his wife's always lying and doing that when they're in the car together. And she said, we're at the bridge, State Line Bridge or whatever. We'll be there in 10 minutes. And he goes, "No, we're not. And we wouldn't be there if we were at the place you just lied about."
Right. I had the ultimate one yesterday. I told the kids I was going to pick up some like Mediterranean style food for their party, that I was going to go to work and pick it up and bring it over. We have a little saying around the Carolla house called all buy, all fly, which means I'll pay for all the fucking food and pick it up as well. But I said, I'll just pick it up on the way back from work, and it's in Glendale, and Matt phoned it in, and we had it timed to pick up at 7:30. So I timed it all out, and I walked into the restaurant at 7:30, and I was standing there behind the little quarantined area or whatever, and I was like, my name and blah, blah, blah. And the guy went, "Oh, yeah, they're just wrapping it up right now. They're just boxing it up. They're just boxing it up."
Great.
And I was like,
another 60 seconds.
Okay. And then I stood there for 20 minutes. Now, it's not their fault for being late. It's their fault for telling me 3 times. And then someone would come around 10 minutes later, and they go, "Can I help you?" And I'd go, "I'm waiting on a takeout." And they go, "Oh, okay, let me check." And then they'd go to the back, and then they'd come out and they go, "They're just boxing it up." And I'd go, "I know they're not just boxing it up. Something is not happening here." But it was kind of the ultimate, because when you're in the car, you can, I don't know, talk about traffic or whatever. But when you're physically just standing there in front of the kitchen, and they keep saying they're boxing it up, and then at some point it went from boxing it up to they're cooking it, but it's just one more minute, and then they're boxing it up. And I did that thing that makes me hate Los Angeles that even more than I already do, which is I have such a paranoia of parking tickets in Los Angeles. But I was like, it's a pandemic. I'm just going to run in and grab this stuff. I don't know what to do with the meter. The meter needs an ATM card or a credit card or something. It's not the 75 cents. It's the dealing with the modern meter. And I'm just going to park by this meter, and I'm just going to run in and grab my food and run back out. But of course, standing there for 20 minutes was getting me a little paranoid. Hey, let me tell you about Tushy. Show of hands. Do you have a butthole? Well, if you do, then this ad is for you. For years, bidets have been available, but expensive. And I'll tell you, man, once you go the Tushy route, you never go back, man. You can cleanse the butt in a precise stream of fresh water for just $79. That's right, under $100. Attaches to your existing toilet. No electricity or extra plumbing. So anyone can do it on any toilet. Cuts the toilet paper use by 80%. And I got to tell you, man, once you get used to this, you'll never go back. Hands-free, baby. Every Hello Tushy bidet attachment comes with a 60-day risk-free guarantee and 12-month warranty. So if we've learned one thing about this whole hoarding and pandemic and all that kind of stuff is we don't want to get caught with our pants down and no toilet paper. Let's go with Tushy. Join the millions of happy Hello Tushy customers now and get a clean butt with every wash. Right, Dawson?
Go to hellotushy.com/Adam to get 10% off. This is a special offer for our listeners. Go to hellotushy.com/Adam for 10% off. hellotushy.com/Adam.
All right. Brad Williams is going to join us. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back with the great Brad Williams right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hi, Adam. I took your mayor's advice the other day and thanked the parolee for his service. I won't say what he said back to me, but I don't think he appreciated my gratitude. Maybe parolees are different in Los Angeles. Anyway, thanks for the podcast.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Well, to be fair, he said when these folks are paroled from prison, we owe them our gratitude. I'm not sure why, but either way, that's Mayor Yoga Pants. Hey, Brad Williams, what's going on with you, man?
Oh, I am 1 hour home. I just drove back from Arizona and Phoenix, where I did some shows this weekend. Live shows with a real life audience.
And you're coming up in Houston at the Improv. I was just there a few weeks back. That's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Great club, great audience. Is Houston at 3/4 capacity right now?
I'm not sure exactly, but I know it's either half or 3/4. I know they're doing temperature checks at the door. I know a lot of the staff are in masks. I know they're doing extra cleaning services. They're taking a lot of precautions, as all the clubs are right now. So people can kind of get back to normal and go see a live stand-up comedy show.
I think I know it's 3/4 because Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen and I did their podcast, Fighter and the Kid, last week, and they had just played Houston, and I said it was half when I played it, and he said the following week when they did it was 3/4. So
I just didn't want to make you feel bad.
Let's hope the trend continues, and by the time I get there, it's just full, and that would be sweet irony with one half of a person, but one full of the showroom. But it was actually really interesting because I just got back, from doing shows in Phoenix, and they had a 8 p.m. curfew for the protests, and so we did shows at 6 p.m. and on Saturday we did a 3 p.m. show. You damn right.
Yeah, that's nothing funny's going on at 3 p.m. It's tough. I used to tell people
we record the show at 3 p.m.
I know, but I'm in a more serious mental state here. I used to tell people all the time, morning radio, trying to be funny at 6:15 in the morning is so it's so counter to what comedy is. Comedy, and they'd go, "Oh, you can be funny at 6 in the morning." I go, "Yeah, you can," but I'd say I like a steak and a martini, but at 6:15 in the morning, it's kind of weird, right? I sort of feel that way about comedy.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was going to be, but man, I don't know what it was. Maybe just people being pent up, maybe people wanting entertainment, people wanting to go out. The crowd was great. I mean, it sounded like they had been pre-partying since 3 p.m. the day before, but they were good to go. Got my first hecklers since coming back.
Mazel tov.
Nice. Well done.
Yeah, that felt amazing.
Is that a hate crime to heckle you, Brad? Aren't you a protected species? I don't feel like people should be able to heckle you.
I kind of feel the same way. Like, what are you trying to prove? That you have to be like, that dwarf is getting too big for his britches. I gotta let him know I'm better. No, it was it was a very surprising heckle. I do a joke about masturbation in my act, about how my arms are very tiny and I can't jerk off standing up, which is very true. It's the cross I bear. And I did that, and some woman just yelled out like, "I'll jerk you off," and so it wasn't really a heckle. It was more of
an offer.
That's what you want.
Yeah, but I had to tell her. I go, well, thank you, but my wife is Chinese, and they invented the happy ending, so you have no chance at you there.
My feeling is she has no chance of getting there, but she can die trying. That's what I tell my fans.
Yeah. See some effort.
They're confused initially when I go, Brad's wife invented the handy, or obviously she didn't do it, but family members did. Sure. You sure knock yourself out, baby. So Brad, going to Houston, did you drive in? Did you say you drove in from Phoenix? Obviously you're flying into Houston.
Yeah, I'll fly to Houston. I drove to Phoenix when I had gigs in Salt Lake City. I drove to Salt Lake City, which is a lovely 10-hour drive. But I flew when I did shows in Oklahoma City. But I'm back to, obviously I'm going to fly to Houston this time. It's just kind of weird because when you get on the flight, they're saying social distance, social distance, social distance, and everyone's being really good and they got the masks on and everything. And then once you park and that bing goes off, everyone just stands up and goes and tries to get their luggage. And it's just like, well, fuck. I guess it's all out the window.
Also, in a world where I think, see, the thing about the beverage service, and we've all done the Vegas flight where you take off from Burbank and it's a little bumpy flying in because it's summertime into McCarran, and they do that thing where they get on the squawk box and they go, because of the turbulence, we're going to suspend but it's like, well, then give everyone $11 back. It's like, so it totally behooves them. And by the way, if you work on that flight, you don't want to push the fucking cart up and down and tell everyone you're out of apple juice, or have deal with dickheads like Mike August, who's like, I want half cranberry, half orange, and one of your eyelashes floating in top. That's what he does. So now with the whole fucking COVID-19 thing, because I just got on it to Texas, they're like, because of the pandemic, we're going to suspend we're going to put stale pretzels in a T-shirt cannon, and we're just going to fire them toward the back of the plane. We wish you all Godspeed. So what I'm telling you, Brad, if you like to have yourself a cocktail on that flight, bring some Travelers, man.
Or I call those full size. But yes,
yeah. Right.
That's a handle of vodka.
That's a handle.
Yeah, that's I'll bust out 2 of those Traveler size bottles of whiskey and just be like, I'm getting fucked up.
Who wants to do thimble shots? Brad, please get a thimble. Maybe from the Monopoly game, and please get a little Traveler of Smirnoff, and I want to see you pouring it on a flight, and just don't make any faces. Be very earnest about it.
Mission accomplished. I will do that. Check my Instagram at Brad Williams Comic this week. You will see me on a Southwest flight to Houston, Texas, with a thimble of whiskey and a big smile on my face.
Thank you. So, that's good. And the question I'm going to ask is a question I've asked every comedian I've run into, which is, everyone thought they were going to have ring rust. Every comedian said every comedian's repeated it to themselves. I gotta work out every night or I'll lose it immediately. So far, nobody's felt that way. They all took 3 months off and got back up on stage and were pretty damn good with their act. But Brad, you tell us.
Yeah, I was thinking the same way. Like, oh my God, it's been 3 months. I was reviewing old joke books and like trying for the first time ever. I was practicing in my room in front of a mirror. I've never done that before, but getting up on stage, it was great. It all just kind of came back, and you forget. You're like, oh right, I'm a performer. I'm a funny person. It's why I'm doing this. So I can, like, even if you forget a bit or you forget a line, the audience doesn't know that, and you as a performer know how to get through it. I think the biggest thing was that because I wasn't getting reps in over that 3 month period, is I wasn't writing a lot of new jokes, like because I wasn't having time to practice or test them out. But man, you get up on stage, and these last 3 weeks, I've got at least 15 brand new minutes of material just on what I was doing during the quarantine.
Is your calendar filling up with dates now?
I am booked through the rest of the year.
Wow.
So So, I mean, my daughter is a little person, but she eats a lot, and diapers are the same size. So yeah, we got to pay for that kind of stuff.
Do you know comedians who aren't going out? Like, I would assume Sarah Silverman's probably not going out. She's probably doing the social distancing thing. But other comedians are going out. Have you talked to that? I'm not that hooked into that community. You're more tied into that community? What do you know?
It was very interesting because I think me and Jeff Dye, and I could be wrong. I think me and comedian Jeff Dye were the first comics to go out. I went to Oklahoma City. He went to Salt Lake City in Utah, and both of us, when we got home, our phones blew up from comics just being like, "What's it like out there back in the world? You know, what are the audiences like?" There was comics like Tom Papa called me, David Tell called me, just wanting to know like, hey, what's going on out there? And I was telling them like, it's pretty great. Like everyone's really wanting to laugh. They've been cooped up and they want to get out. They want a little sense of normalcy. And they're like, yeah, but it's like a third capacity or half capacity. I go, they were half capacity shows for me 5 years ago. This is not too far away from that. I'm used to this. I can do it. And they were complaining about the money, that it's not what you would be making if it was a full house. And I'm like, yeah, but if you stay home, you make no money. So I'll respect any comedian's decision. I'll respect any person's decision if they go out or if they don't go out. That is completely up to them and what they're comfortable with. But for me, I would like to have a paycheck. I was living off my Cameo for the last 3 months and doing shout outs for people for their birthday and doing virtual shows. If comedy is heroin, virtual shows are the methadone, where it's like it just gives you enough like to get you by, but it's not the good black talk.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when you're used to making, $9,000 a show or $7,500 a show, and now all of a sudden you're making $3,500 a show or $4,000 a show or whatever it is. But it's still $4,000 for standing there holding the Miller Lite and complaining about your wife. You know what I mean? You have to put things in perspective. You're not a roofer.
Yeah. And when there's so many people who are out of work right now, I would feel like the biggest piece of shit in the world if I said, $4,000, I don't leave my house. So I think, but now even the more successful comedians that do theaters are finding ways to get back out there. I know Jim Gaffigan and Burt Kreischer are both doing shows at drive-in movie theaters.
Oh, really?
Wow. Outdoor shows.
Yeah.
Great.
I don't know how, obviously the audience hears them through the mic and the radio. I'm not sure how they hear the audience. So I don't know if they're hearing any laughter.
They honk their approval.
They flash their lights.
So it'll be like Hard Knocks with the Raiders, like honk if you're with me. Just like,
I never thought I'd say this, but like the era of Mr. Microphone has returned. Mr. Microphone was a big K-Tel item they used to advertise on TV. Find a commercial for Mr. Microphone, because there's two things that are wildly offensive about the Mr. Microphone commercial. First one was just the black guy walking down the sidewalk scatting. Like he was just like, it was crazy offensive. And then the other one is when they advertise it and they kind of tell you what you can do, like kids parties, celebrations. And then at one point they go, professional concerts. And they show like the woman playing acoustic guitars. Like, I don't think professionals use equipment that start with the word Mr. I just don't. I don't.
Unless
they wouldn't use Mr. Amplifier. They wouldn't.
No.
Mr. Wah-Wah Pedal.
That's right.
Unless it's literally the band Mr.
That's
they're
right.
not using anything with Mr.
All right, we'll play the Mr. because it's the same technology. You tune it into a station that doesn't really exist and then hear that frequency through it. Mr. Microphone, 1978, Ronco.
Ronco.
Oh, man.
Hey, this Christmas party is getting a little too quiet. I think it's time we liven it up with my favorite Christmas gift, Mr. Microphone.
Hey, what's that?
Well, you set the dial on your FM radio and testing. Hey! I'm on the radio!
These kids are having a fabulous time with Mr. Microphone, the cordless microphone that actually puts your voice on the radio. There are no attaching wires, so you're free to move around.
Black man stat.
Over any FM car radio.
Hey, good looking. We'll be back to pick you up later.
Hold on, you got to stop it for a second. Can I say this? There's already 5 full-grown adults in a 2-seat automobile. Who else are you picking up? This is
that's a kidnapping trunk situation.
That's why they'll be back.
That's a threat.
All right,
that and was like anyone who's ever hollered at someone from their car. Was there ever the problem of if only I can get this half a decibel more? I would be getting laid right now talking to those women on the corner, but I didn't have a Mr. Microphone.
And also, last I checked, the speakers are in the door facing in. So I don't know how much throw you're getting from your voice by yelling at. You're annoying your girlfriend who's sitting next to you. And are you yelling at the black man who was scatting down the street? I don't know. All right, and then there's the professional guitar player. This is my favorite. Go ahead.
You can broadcast in mono or with 2 or more radios in stereo. Yeah.
Professional entertainers use Mr. Microphone for rehearsing.
Dawson.
You can too.
Dawson, you've been around, you've teched in a lot of pros.
Yeah, that's exactly how stereo works. Just get two mono radios.
2 mono radios.
Turn them on. That's the science.
And how many pros have you used that have actually used Mr. Microphone?
Mr. Microphone is at every show
It's
I've
an industry
ever
standard?
worked at. Yeah.
That's a standard?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So that's, okay. So you'd have to count.
That's all our rider is for the Adam Carolla show. When we go on the road, I just write on this thing, Mr. Microphone.
Oh, I think we were talking backstage during the break at the Alan Parsons show about him utilizing
Mr. Microphone. Okay. He does quadraphonic sound, so he gets 4 stereos out there. Yeah.
See, you're kind of losing me technically, but I get it, Mr. Microphone.
That's how you know you've made it, when you got 4 stereos and a Mr. Microphone. I hope to get there one day.
So Gaffigan's going to have the Mr. Microphone, and everyone's going to put it on AM 8300, and they're going to hear his mirth coming through their car stereo.
You're going to hear 30 minutes of bacon jokes all over your car stereo. It's going to be awesome.
I could never.
I would go see it, but
I could never do that because at a certain point, I'd noticed that one car that was laughing a little harder than all the other cars, or like laughing during the setup and not the punchline. At some point, I'd realize, in fact, they were listening to Howard Stern and weren't even tuned in to my show, and it would upset me and throw me off. I love Mr. Microphone. Yes.
It'd be a little awkward as you're ranting and they go, Joe Rogan's killing it right now.
Yes. So I'm not sure what the difference between, well, I guess you're playing a theater, 2 seats in between you is about 4 feet or something like that. I don't know if we're still at the 6-foot thing. You'll notice, by the way, as you start entering restaurants and comedy clubs and airplanes, all the stuff we're kind of talking about, it's a little catch as catch can, because when you got to take a piss on the airplane, at some point you get up, you start walking to the back of the plane and the person's leaving the bathroom. How does the 6 feet work? You get out on the wing, I'll wait for you until you go down the aisle. Like, you just pass each other. I bumped into a guy at the restaurant yesterday. Like, I was literally carrying my food out and he was like coming in trying to get around and I banged my elbow into the guy. It was weird, but we're not really technically going to be able to pull this off.
And the other guy's dead now?
Yeah.
Is what you're saying?
That was his point, yeah.
Well, no.
He'll be missed.
He lives with his grandparents, and he brought it home to them, and they're dead.
Okay.
It's so funny. It's funny when we started putting that thing together early on. Like, well, what happens? I'm fine. I'm healthy. I know, but you bring it home to your elderly parents. It's like, is 86% of Americans living with their elderly parents now? Like, I barely fucking see my elderly parents. A lot of elderly parents live in different states and things. Like, why? I know we put together this thing where it's like, your kids are going to go to school, and then when they come home, because they live with a 91-year-old woman, when they come home, they're going to give it. It's like, okay, but what percentage of kids live with their grandmother, especially like in California? Yes.
To be fair, Adam, some of us actually do like our parents.
I know.
I know it sounds weird.
He
It
sounds
sounds
pale,
crazy.
but can't prove it.
My my COVID joke is the good news. The bad news about this is you can't go visit your elderly parents, and the good news is I can't go visit my elderly parents, and I'm this close to convincing my mom it can be spread over the phone.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
So let's see. We got the news. We'll have Brad hang out and crack wise during the news. Let me hit Method Men first. Heard us talking all last week about the fresh approach to grooming, staying clean and fresh. Should be fuss-free. 2-in-1 shampoo-conditioner, I should say. Convenient and efficient. Cleans and hydrates the hair in one step. Method Men this stuff is good. I'm using the deodorant. I used the body wash the other day, believe it or not. I was cleaning up a little the junk that was in the trunk there. Nature-inspired fragrances like sea and surf and crisp, clean nautical notes of salt water, coastal breezes. Max, what are you using over there?
I'm using the body wash too. Look, when I was a freshman in high school, a girl told me I smelled, and it's been bothering me ever since. It's been haunting me, but no longer thanks to Method Men and their wonderful body wash.
And you can save 15% with the code Adam. When you buy online, methodmen.com, that's methodmen.com. This is good stuff. Visit them online, methodmen.com. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come right back with Brad and the news right after this.
Give me the news with Grad, news with Gina Grad, breaking viral, all those crazy Trump tweets. Give me news with Gina Grad, trouble in the Middle East, celebrity drunk meltdowns. Need news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
I want to first start with a quick correction because yesterday's show, I mistakenly reported that New York would reopen on July 8th, which did seem a little funky, and I should have checked that. It's actually June 8th. That's today as we record this. So if that sounded weird to you, that's why. So my apologies. So Democrats unveiled this sweeping new legislation Monday that, if passed, would increase accountability of police officers by banning certain practices, significantly curbing immunity from legal consequences stemming from acts committed in the line of duty. This, according to Fox News. So it's called the Justice in Policing Act of 2020. It would lower the bar for police officers to face criminal prosecution by allowing charges not just in cases where alleged misconduct was intentional, but also in cases of reckless misconduct. And through the bill, Democrats seek to establish a national use of force standard, ban federal use of chokeholds and racial profiling, and set up a national police misconduct registry to maintain public records of officer violations.
That'd be a fun place to work. Hello, welcome to the National Police Misconduct Registry. My name's Steve. How can I help you? I was talking earlier today. I had an unpopular thought, but a thought that needs to be discussed. Anyway,
It's never stopped you before.
No.
Let's go.
But I'll be consistent. I've been talking about this for a long time, long before this situation. Police need more training of how to interact with the public, but the public should have some training about how to interact with the police as well, because no one really tells us what exactly they want from us when they're pulling us over. You know, sometimes you reach for your glove box to get your insurance out of it. They don't want you to do that, you know. Sometimes you roll the window down. Sometimes you roll the window up. Sometimes you got to swallow the doobie you were smoking. I have to spill a beer out. But I mean, I would take, and I would be fine with, and maybe it's just a DMV thing, like maybe it's like a little protocol. Don't get out of your car, for instance. Or if you're pulled over on the highway, on the freeway, there's a good chance that the officer may come around the passenger side where it's safer. So when pulled over on the freeway, come to a stop, lower the window on the passenger side. Just stuff to avoid all the, hey, buddy, and he's knocking on the window on the passenger side. Like how to interact with the cops, how they would like you to come to them. And then, by the way, when they see that's what you're doing, then they'll be sort of de-triggered. They'll know, okay, this is a person who understands this protocol. You think about...
Make it part of your driving test.
Yeah, part of your driving test. Like maybe they want your hands on the wheel. I don't know. Maybe they want you to turn your dome light on at night. I don't know. Yes, Brad.
As soon as I got a car and a license, my dad, when I would come home, would run out to the window and knock on my window and say license and registration. Like he would do mock pullovers with me. And then like if I didn't know where my license was, he would start yelling at me and be like where is it? You're going to jail. And like so he kind of trained me up on that. So I knew that when it was to happen, I mean, granted, I understand. I'm not going to pretend I know what it's like to be an African American who's been pulled over. I wasn't aware of that kind of difference until I was literally driving from Los Angeles to Bakersfield. I was driving. The comedian in my car is a very funny comic. His name is Bruce Jingles. He is a funny African-American gentleman, and a cop pulled up right next to us, looked in, saw me, saw Bruce, made eye contact with me, and mouthed the words, "Are you okay?"
Wow.
And that shocked me because, I mean, this was before I had my beard. So I thought to myself, oh my God, this cop thinks that a black guy kidnapped this kid and now he's making him drive.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Like, yeah. And
that's more of a referendum on you.
Yeah. I don't know if you've been offended.
I was picturing... I was picturing your dad upping his game, like at some point coming out with a billy club and smashing out your rear tail light, going, well, boy, appears we got a problem here.
What's a city boy like you do parts like this?
I mean, he would do that, and then he would toss me in a shower and tell me to spread him and put, like, it was bad.
Delousing. Hey, but your dad was kind of, I would call him a realist. I mean, it was a little bit of a boy named Sue. Like, it was like he knew things were going to be tough for you growing up, and he was going to put a little gravity in your world, right?
Yeah, and he would do that by constantly making fun of me as a little person because my dad's not a dwarf. So he would make fun of me like as a toddler and as a very young child, and then but encourage me to have comebacks. So when I got to the schoolyard, I wouldn't be scared when a kid started making fun of me, and it worked really well. I got made fun of the first day of school, and I also got sent to the principal's office on the first day of school because I had a better comeback.
Well done.
The kid walked.
Yeah,
the kid walked up and said, "Ha ha, you're little," and I said, "Ha ha, your mom doesn't live with your dad anymore." And I grew up in Orange County. I had about a 50-50 shot of getting that one right, and I did.
Talk about a realist.
Yeah, it was a good comeback.
Yeah, your dad did good work, and I really do mean it because Brad is one of the best. Let's see. I'll try to work this compliment out.
Looking.
Your demeanor. No, you're the most regular comedian I know. Your demeanor's great. Being little is neither here nor there. It also isn't. I hate it when a comedian makes something his entire act. It would be easy for you to do that. You don't. You want to be funny first. And I think your dad I think that's probably your dad not turning you into a victim.
Yeah, that was never what he wanted for me. He never wanted me to come home and say I couldn't accomplish something because I was a little person. He never wanted that as an excuse. So he didn't let me have that as an excuse. And I think it's a testament to them that I'm doing pretty well now. Dwarfism isn't my entire act, but look out for my Instagram when I post a thimble of whiskey.
That'll be the only time he refers to it. Sorry, go ahead. Wait, Gina. Did you say you got a text a few minutes back?
Yes, I got a text that I wanted to share with you. It came up during the show. Our sort of studio back here is next to the back door, and I heard somebody knocking, and of course it's not. I'm working, so it's not up to me. And I heard my fiance open it, and I heard a little chit chat, and I didn't think twice about it because we're working. And I got a text from him in the other room saying some hero called the city's Mosquito Control Division about our tiny kiddie pool.
Oh my God!
Somebody just had to go. Andy just had to go deal with the Department of Animal Control. I don't know, because we have a tiny kiddie pool for our little 4-year-old on a hot day, just sitting. And somebody called the mosquito department. Mosquito Control.
Here.
All right. First of all, the fuck, we have a mosquito department?
Yeah, this is the first I'm hearing of it. And we have one of those bitches next door that's constantly just ruining everyone's good time. We actually ate outside a couple weeks ago, and the 4-year-old had a blast. It was so much fun, and we're dancing, and we have Moana on, and he has his little, PJ Masks costume. Yeah, that's the tiny kiddie pool.
Right.
And she comes over and she goes, I'm going to ask you this once, and I'm going to ask you this nicely. You need to shut this down. It's too loud. And I go, it's Saturday night. It's 9 p.m. No, I'm going to ask you nicely. I'm asking nicely. And she kept saying that. And you know what? God bless this little step boy, because I was like, yeah, whatever. And Andy's yelling at her. I'm like, whatever. We're going inside. Whatever. As she walks away, the 4-year-old at the top of his lungs goes, I'm sad now because we were enjoying ourselves and she ruined our night.
Good.
Put that on her.
Well,
Lord.
I will say one of the bad residual side effects of this whole lockdown is it's kind of weaponized all the fucking dime droppers out there.
Yes.
Because in the past, we used to kind of look down, the snitches got stitches, but now the snitches became fucking heroes, and these people are so fucking drunk on their own power that it's not going to stop with the COVID. Like, he wasn't wearing a mask. Oh, no, we're calling the Mosquito Patrol. Like, they're just going to keep chugging along.
Yeah, I had no idea. So now we all know there's a Mosquito Control Division of Animal Control, and kiddie pools are a no-fly zone now for the summer.
I love the fact that she kept saying that I'm going to ask this nicely.
That was her thing. Like, or
do you a favor.
Yeah, that's the other version of I'm not a racist, but like, you're about to say something racist if you say that, or it's like, I'm going to ask you nicely. That means you're about to be a royal bitch.
She's done that a few times. I think she's a lifer over here in, one of these, Adam knows the neighborhood, one of these rundown buildings. So I think this is what she's got. I imagine if she works from home, and it's just constant nagging and problems and fetching and threats.
I think you should knock on her door and say, I'm going to ask you this very nicely. I'm going to ask you nicely. I'm going to ask you one time. Die.
Please.
Well, we were so lucky because we found this very cute little house. It's a farmhouse. It's lovely. And this neighborhood is not working for us.
Well,
I asked you nicely. You can't die. I asked you very nicely.
I wonder if somehow Twitter has gotten people more conditioned to interact with strangers or to comment on a stranger's behavior, because the last thing I would ever want to do is knock on someone's door and tell them to turn their stereo down or call the cops. I've never done it my entire life. It feels so uncomfortable to me. Yet to others, there's something exciting about it. There's almost like a sexual arousal or something. I'm going to call this person. I'm going to get this person. And we've got to figure out a way. We've got to figure out a way to punish these people. We're talking about police reform. How about a little something for Whitey, which is I was
defund the neighbors.
I used to have a party house, as you guys know, and I had like old bitchy neighbor lady, and like we threw a New Year's Eve party. Me and Jimmy threw a New Year's Eve party there back in the day. Cousin Sal's 30th birthday, we threw there. It was called the Party House. We'd play basketball there and this, that, and the other. And we had a nice New Year's Eve party, nothing out of hand, nothing anything. Cops all showed up at 9 p.m. And New Year's Eve on that year was on a Saturday night. 9 p.m. they showed up. And I said, what? They like showed up and they saw me and Jimmy and they're like, hey, man show. And I said, you want me to turn the stereo down? And they said, if you want to, but if you don't want to, you don't have to. We just have to come out. And I said, who's the neighbor who called you? It's New Year's Eve. It's 9 o'clock. Who? And he said, I can't tell you who called, but they call all the time. And I thought, shouldn't that person be punished? Yes. And there's another interesting sidebar here, which is we always talk about cops being racist or neighbors being racist or society at large being racist. But I always say there's many more assholes than there are racists. So imagine if you were a black family living how you're living, an old white lady called Mosquito Control to come over to tell you to empty out. You'd go, well, that bitch is a racist, right? And I said, oh, this same group, old white people, when I was working on the Party House, one day, it was 2 p.m, I picked up the phone to call Terry Lumber. And when I picked up the phone to call Terry Lumber, I heard this woman on the other end. And I was like, hello, Terry Lumber? And she's like, no, who's this? And I was like, oh, I think we have our lines crossed or something. Maybe it's from the construction. And I said, oh, okay, sorry, I'll hang up. And I hung up. And 20 minutes later, cop car showed up. And I thought, well, if I was a young black man, what other choice would I have to think that I was living next door to an old racist woman?
Right.
But no, I just had an asshole living next door to me.
Karen's got a Karen, man.
Karen's got a Karen, and that was old school Karen. I mean, that's 1999's Karen.
I mean, Adam, you're famous for saying all roads lead to narcissism. Whether it's the one person in a room full of people laughing who goes, I'm offended at that joke, and everyone has to stop and acknowledge me and acknowledge my presence, or the person the bitch who's living next to Gina who's like, a 4-year-old is having a good time and I'm old and I'm lonely, and when I masturbate, my vagina shoots dust out of it. That's what she told the cops. I need it on me. This is the only way I can get attention, and the only way I can get people to listen to me is if I can be a Karen. So they do. It's horrible.
Don't mess with that particular heckler that shoots dust out of her vagina, because if you messed with her, she would fire back, well, at least I can reach my pussy when I'm standing up.
Yeah.
I can also reach pussy when I am standing up, but not my.
Well said. That's why he has dates this weekend.
Yeah, in Houston, Texas. Come on out. I'm gonna go the full Carolla route. I'm gonna do shows. I'm gonna get a haircut. I'm going to have a thimble of a martini. It's going to be amazing.
Let me hit LifeLock. A hacker group called Shiny Hunters breached 73 million user records from dating apps, delivery services, online stores, newspapers, and sold them onto the dark web. It's important to understand how cybercrime and identity theft are affecting our lives every day. We put our info at risk on the internet. Cybercriminals keep finding ways to steal our identity. LifeLock. It's a leader in identity theft protection. It detects a wide range of identity threats, like your social security number, for sale on the dark web. If they detect it, they'll send you an alert, right, Dawson?
No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. LifeLock and see threats you might miss on your own. Join now and save up to 25% off your first year by using promo code Adam. Call 1-800-LifeLock or head to LifeLock.com. LifeLock.com and use promo code Adam for 25% off.
Sorry, I'm distracted because Jay Leno, hi Jay, just walked into the studio. Because I was going to interview Jay after this program for Wednesday's program, so Jay just buzzed in a couple minutes early. So thanks, Jay. We'll wrap this one up in the next few minutes, and then I'll bring you in for a little one-on-one action. But the great Jay Leno in the building.
Wow.
Yes.
Have them hop on. I'll defer my time. I don't care.
I hope the Chick-fil-A arrived early.
Oh, you have it there?
No.
Don't remind him.
We got him a
Someone
gift
get a
certificate.
Post-fake run real quick.
All right, what else? Let's do one more, Gina Grad.
All right. Well, if we're going to do one more, let's see. Let's make it a good one. Very, very important breaking news. This should have been above the fold, first thing out of the gate. Very serious Elmer Fudd Yosemite Sam news. This is not a joke. Everybody brace. This is real. Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam are losing their signature items for the rebooted Looney Tunes on HBO Max. So going forward, they'll be losing their rifles, their pistols, and their ammunition. They will, however, be able to keep their Dynamite and Acme certified products for the brand new cartoon, but they are no longer going to be able to carry guns and rifles in the reboot.
Oh. I mean, our
sorry, go ahead.
problem solved.
Yeah, I don't know if it's, how they're going to do duck season and wabbit season, but they're going to have to think out of the side of the box.
Still going to spin it on his head.
I don't know. Maybe the dynamite. They are allowed to use dynamite. They are not allowed to use handheld weapons.
And then who's going to do the voice of Foghorn Leghorn? Because that's very difficult to thread. Do you know what Foghorn Leghorn sounds like, Max Zapata?
Oh, hell yeah.
I'll say, boy, you don't gotta listen to that man. He don't have a gun. I say, he don't have a gun, boy.
He sounds like he owns two plantations. That's how old and racist a Foghorn Leghorn sounds.
I just did that accent, so in 20 years, when I have a talk show, I'll have to apologize for doing Foghorn Leghorn voice.
Unearthed footage. Yeah, this will be our unearthed footage. Yeah. I don't know who could do. Maybe we'll get Lizzo to do the voice of Foghorn Leghorn.
Oh,
I don't know, but we're in different times. But I heard that Elmer Fudd had a weapon. Didn't he have a scythe or scythe or I heard he has a
rifle.
He got rid of the rifle, but he got like a sickle. Wait, what's the difference between a scythe and a sickle?
Oh, it says scythe. Elmer Fudd's scythe. Let's see.
Right. Is that
what is a scythe?
It's a way to what they used to harvest. Yeah. It's on the. It's
the
on.
Grim Reaper has it.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Right.
It's on the flag. It's on the Russian flag.
Yeah.
Elmer so as a great man once said, "Problem solved."
Yeah.
I'd rather be shot than sickled to death.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say that's a little more, I don't know, man. Like, it's just this thing where it's like, okay, we took away the guns, but now we have him with a bloody knife chasing after people.
That won't scar the kids.
He's gone from hunter to gatherer.
It's literally gathering wheat.
Yeah,
All right.
Reaping.
He's
it's
reaping.
only a matter of time because they took away Elmer Fudd's gun. Doesn't Elmer also have a stutter? Isn't that going to be offensive to people with speech impediments?
He does have an impediment.
He's bald. That's very offensive to bald people. Bald Bryan, that's the worst thing going on in his life right now.
I'm going to take a stand here for this.
Yeah, the worst thing. So, we have to take away all the things that offend people.
So he has a scythe, not a sickle. Okay. I guess.
Do we need both those words? Do we need scythe and sickle?
No, not at all. It's very confusing. And again, I don't know. If it's on your flag, that's a bad sign. That means you haven't joined us in the modern era. You know what I mean? Maybe we should update flags. What do they have? They have a hammer and a sickle, right? The Russians?
I think that was the USSR, though. Is it still that flag?
Oh, that's a good.
Maybe they did update.
That's a good question.
They did update. Now, we should definitely update some flags. I'm looking at you, Mississippi. Probably one we should update. But yeah, I agree.
It struck me that the "don't tread on me" kind of thing shouldn't be a snake. It should be a giraffe because snakes are bound to be tread upon by mistake. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a snake, you're asking to be stepped on. You're in high grass and you're on the ground. The flag of the Soviet Union is still a sickle and a hammer.
Oh, there you go.
Right, time to update.
All right, let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
Last but not least, Geico. You've been sharing a lot, and Geico would like to do a little sharing with you. Geico is going to give something back. 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies for current and new customers. So even if you're just signing up, they are committed to the long haul, and the 15% credit lasts the full policy term. So if you're going to sign up, let's do it now. Save that 15%. You can visit geico.com/giveback and find out all about eligibility at geico.com. Soviet Union flag relinquished with the Soviet, 1991?
Yeah, so that's not the Russian flag. It's just when the Soviet Union was around until 1991, that the sickle and hammer was their flag. So just want to clarify.
I want to tell everyone Brad Williams, Houston Improv, this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. BradWilliamsComedy.com is where you go. He's out there getting it done. I'll be at Zany's in Nashville this weekend on the 12th and 13th, doing a little stand-up there as well. Thank you, man.
Great club.
I look forward to it. My book is coming out. I'm Your Emotional Support Animal. That's coming out in a week or so, so pre-order that, please. It just helps. Willy T. Ribs, Uppity, the Willy T. Ribs story. That's available at Chassis, CHASSY.com with the Blu-rays, and you can see it on Netflix and all that as well. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. And Unprepared from Quarantine coming up Monday, June 15th, 7 p.m. Pacific. And you register now at SiriusXM.com/Adam Carolla. So, Ray Lewis is on tomorrow. Looking forward to that. And until next time, it's Adam Carolla for Willy T. and Brad Williams, Gina Grad and Ball Bryan saying, mahalo.